We try not to too much because of my Pokemon association, but if you do curse, it isn't the end of the world. We've only ever bleeped it out if a guest asks for it, which I don't think you would ask for it, but we just give everybody that same spiel. So that
I'm asking you to insert more into it, please.
Okay, I'll try my best. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us here on another steaming hot edition of Cup of Joe's. I'm your host, Joe Brown, joined by my best friend, Joe Perrion, who tried to jinx me on the intro just now, and none of you heard it because I'm going to edit it out. So take that, Joe. But we are not alone because we are joined with one of our OG guests. Our good friend Dillon has returned on Cup of Joe's here, episode number 83, to talk some Elden Ring, talk some Overwatch 2, just some gaming in general. So Dillon, it's been a while. How are you doing? And thanks for coming on the podcast.
I'm good. I'm surprised you didn't see that I never left your house. I've been here since we talked about the game of the year, Fallout 76.
Oh my god.
That's right. We did talk about that. The innocent times where Joe was like, it's actually not that bad.
It's not that bad. Total dumpster fire of a game.
It's fine. It was in the long ago. It was in the great before times.
But I heard it's better now.
I've heard it's better now.
Aren't most things better now?
After
a while?
Not really.
Not to date ourselves, but no. Today things got worse today, patently. Not to date ourselves.
Before we get started, Joe, I love the intro that we do every week. Another steaming hot episode of Cup of Joe's, but I think we need to revamp to include our iced coffee drinkers.
That's a great point. And especially with the spring and the summertime upcoming, you're going to have a lot more iced coffee drinkers when it's hot.
Yes. So I think from this point onward, since we are in spring, we gotta say welcome back to another ice cold episode of Cup of Joe's.
But that's kind of like implying that it's not an enjoyable, cool experience.
Whoa.
It's all about the delivery. You have to do like NPR, be like, hey, welcome to an ice-cold episode of Cup of Joe's. You gotta, you gotta cool down.
Yeah, I guess.
Welcome back to another freezing point episode, Cup of Joe's.
But that's usually, with people and their opinions, usually you would associate freezing cold with, a bad take or a bad opinion. You know what I mean? So
I don't know. There's a whole movie about... There's a whole movie about how the cold lady's a good person. It's Frozen.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure you're talking about Frozen. Yeah,
it's Frozen. She's a cold lady.
You're not talking about Snowpiercer.
You know,
that's a movie not about good things.
Did you know Joe and I saw Frozen in theaters together?
Did you? I've never seen it.
You should not watch it.
Oh. Why would you say that? It's a great film.
Because I know Dylan's taste, and I know he's not going to like it. It's a good movie, but Dillon, do you like princesses?
I've seen some creative animation license from Frozen, if you catch my drift. I think I know what's going on, guys.
Okay.
Oh my god. Let's leave
Frozen
it there.
Underground, the icicle returns.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Let's swiftly move the conversation away from this part as we said at the beginning of the episode, we have two topics. So Dillon is an Elden Ring expert, and Joe and I are complete novices. We haven't even played. We're a bunch of losers. We're maidenless. Haven't touched Grace. I'm trying to think of the other Elden Ring memes that have been going on. We have not let me solo her help us in our campaign. So Dillon is going to walk us through that experience, and then we'll talk about Overwatch 2 after that. So let's start. Dillon, what's your Souls born, I guess that's the genre, Souls-like experience through the years and, leading up to your excitement for Elden Ring?
So we can call Dillon a From fanboy.
I'm a From fan. I'm a From boy.
I like it.
Yeah. No, I started playing. I started playing with Dark Souls, like a lot of people do. Played with the Dark Souls remastered on my PC that I had just built. Did some DS fix to unlock the frame rate, like all of us had to do back in the day because the ports were terrible. And this one is no different. The Elden Ring port is still kind of bad, but so I've played all the Souls games, except for Dark Souls 2 because that was not done by From Software. And I refuse to patronize people who didn't. Well, it wasn't done by. I don't think it was done by Miyazaki. So I tend not to. I tend to avoid that one. But I just recently beat Elden Ring about a week and a half ago after 95 hours of play, and that was not just farting around, man. There's not a lot of farting around in that game. I was going through. I was fighting stuff. And it sucked me in for like 95 straight hours. And I was actually talking with my with my better half recently, and we were comparing the last like big game that we played, which was like Sekiro. And that game I think I'd beaten 27 hours.
Oh, I was
So,
there
like,
for this conversation.
Yeah, which comparatively that is like, I mean, that's a sampling
It's
of
like
Elden
three
Ring.
times the game, you know?
It's
more than.
Elden Ring for people who haven't played, like, yeah, like you guys. I mean, I think Joey P played some Sekiro.
I beat that game. I played that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I definitely the best. Something a lot of people have said. I mean, as you see on the internet and on TikTok, it's the best From Software game. Best one to get into. I absolutely loved it. It really was the first game I've played in a long time that has been able to suck me in for 100 hours, and it wasn't PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
Now
Oh my
that's-
God.
Oh, the good old days of
The good old days.
700 hours played of.
I know. I think Joey P and I both share roughly 700, 800 hours of
Great.
PUBG.
So with-
and I think we've won a total of like 10 times.
10 times on the books.
So
that
my
is-
genre is definitely From Software. I am not a great first-person shooter.
That is not a good chicken dinner to hour played ratio. If you
Look,
think
I didn't
about
come on here to be razzed.
it. Listen, I would have won 0. I'm not going to sit here and act like
That game's
I
hard.
Also, we have to be honest with the fact that some of the times we would get into games and Dillon and one of us would die and Dillon would just be like, nah, and then kill the other people on the team so we can restart the game again. with the
Look,
whole team.
you need to cull the herd sometimes, and sometimes you're friends with the herd, and sometimes you are the cull. You know.
The amount of times he has blown himself up with his own grenade is
Oh
just
my
like
God.
cannot count.
Look, you need a hot drop. But From Software games.
Well, so real
Elden
quick,
Ring.
I'm going to say for 95 hours, off the top of your head, is that
Yes.
probably the longest before finish a game you've ever played? Like for me, the only thing I can even think of was it took me 60 hours before I finally beat Ganon in Breath of the Wild. Like that's how much I enjoyed doing all the other stuff, and like I was way over leveled. So like, is there any other game that you've been able to enjoy so much that you waited that long to beat, and then like were you super overpowered at the end, or was it still a struggle?
Oh, it was still a struggle because I like you mentioned, Let Me Solo Her. For people who don't understand what that is, so the her in question is an optional boss in Elden Ring named Millennia, Blade of Mikola. She's an optional boss, and she's the hardest boss. So you do not have to fight her. I was not over level for that. I was palm sweaty, dead silent. My girlfriend was on, just didn't say anything for the last 45 seconds of that fight. But once I got to the end, I was a little over level for the end, I think. But unlike Breath of the Wild, it's funny that you bring that up. It's something I was going to bring up as another example of a great open world game that like kind of reset the genre a bit. Elden Ring did not have a lot of filler that I felt like Breath of the Wild did suffer from a little bit. I liked the dungeons in Breath of the Wild, but I kind of knew what I was going to get at the end of every dungeon, right? So at the end of every dungeon, you get a little orb. You get enough orbs.
Yeah.
You can go get a stamina increase or a heart increase. With Elden Ring, sometimes you'd go through a dungeon, and it would be a way to progress into a part of the game that you hadn't been to, or it would suck you into another part of the map you'd never even seen before, or it would be like a talisman or a weapon that you didn't know that you needed, you know? So the thing about exploring in that game is it felt unique the entire time from start to finish. And so it was easy for me to get to 95 hours and not feel like I was slogging through to get to the end. I probably could have run through and beaten it a little bit earlier, but to get all the things I wanted to get and to like kind of not like 100% complete it, but to my satisfaction level, it took that long, and I didn't. At the end, I was like, wow, that was. I can't believe I only played like I can't believe these 95 hours felt like nothing. Basically, it felt like a new challenge and a new thing that could kick my ass every 15 minutes. It was great. I loved it. It was an uphill battle the whole time.
That's what you hope for when you start a game that's kind of like that. Like me and Joe Brown, or not me and Joe Brown, like
it's Joe Brown and I, first of all.
Oh my god.
You graduated from college multiple times, Joe.
That's true.
Well, he got say it like that.
But that's how I have to say it. You've literally graduated from college multiple times. It's Joe and I, okay?
Yeah.
Joseph and I have spoken before about how I am becoming less and less of fans of games that are open world now, because there is just so much to do. And even you, Dillon, you understand like that there's only so many hours in the day after working, and then you have your other things of like, I know you run every day, almost every day when you come home. You have a significant other that you want to spend time with. You have other things that you want to do. So like trying to get through video games, especially getting to the end of the video game, becomes more difficult and becomes less motivating to do when it's not something you want to necessarily do. Like the way you described it's like you didn't feel like you had to like drag yourself to finish. It wasn't fetch quest after fetch quest after fetch quest with what you're doing. It was like a new experience. You were excited to see what was going to happen afterwards. So it like didn't really do that. So like that's a very appealing thing to me, especially if it's like, okay, you have this open world, but like it's more interesting than just like these side missions. And to get to the next part, you have to do these things to move along, and it's always like something new, which is kind of like great to hear. That's coming out of like, I guess From Software's trying to make the jump to make it like that from now on. But I don't really know if anybody's gonna follow their lead. But like,
I think they probably will. I mean, the user experience. Somebody who's played all the From Software games, except for Dark Souls 2, which shall not be named.
Which doesn't count. I agree.
Which doesn't count. We won't talk about it.
Not allowed.
So it's been so satisfying to see quality of life improvements, not only to the genre that they're not super familiar with, but even within their own sort of formula. So like From Software famously uses a lot of similar assets from game to game. They'll use similar enemy designs and move sets and whatever, not only to save time, save money, but also like they are able to sort of make a cohesive story that way. Because I can be like, oh, a crab pops up in Elden Ring, and I know to be scared of that crab because in Dark Souls 3, those crabs would pop up and I'd run away because they were huge and scary. But like I saw a crab pop up and I literally shit my pants, and I was like, "Oh god, a crab, a crab!" You know. So like I love the cohesion's really nice, and watching all these quality of life improvements, little things like equipment load is automatically calculated for you. If you've never played Souls games, that might not mean something to you, but your roll, like how fast you roll, is based on what your equipment load is. And you used to just be like a number you needed to know that was like a ratio based on these like arbitrary calculations. The game just does it for you. It says your medium load, your heavy load, your light load. It's like little stuff like that they just have really incorporated over time and have like ironed out. That's made those games great. And to your point too, like there's not From Software is famous for their fetch quests and their quests being very shrouded in mystery, and you like sort of the clues and stuff are born off of the online community. People saying, "Oh, if you want to complete this person's quest, you got to do this, 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 and this," and you sort of like get used to just being like, "I'm going to the Wikipedia because I have no idea what I'm supposed to do next for this dude's quest."
Yeah.
But the great thing is, like, all of it's optional. There, you can go to it. You know, there's certain times where it gets locked out from you, but generally not. And like you, at the end, you get something really satisfying. The bigger quests give you bigger items and like bigger power ups. But it's all optional. You can just go through naked with a sword and just beat the game that way if you want to, or you can go become a cool wizard if you want to.
So that's what I wanted to ask about with the side quests and like piggybacking off of Joe and I, kind of getting intimidated, for lack of a better word, with a lot of the open world games now, where if you play an Ubisoft game or you play something and like you see 400 markers on your screen at once, and you're just like, well, I'm not going to do any of it, because if I'm going to try to do some of it, I have to then do all of it. So I know Elden Ring is kind of like notoriously not had a side quest tracker. Like people at the beginning were breaking out notebooks to write down what people were saying to them.
Yep.
So how is that user experience? Because to bring it back to Breath of the Wild, if there was a side quest or a little thing I wasn't aware of, it at least still like tracked, and it could say like, oh, that's what this guy said, and then I could just do it. But like to not actually have that integrated into the system, like, is that a better system? Because if it's out of sight, it's out of mind, you're not worried about 100%? Or is it frustrating that like you would like some type of thing to track what you have to do?
You know, I mean, I personally, the way I always like storytelling, and Joey P and I gotta remember to distinguish between the two. Joey P and I have talked about this a million times. I like games and I like stories that the world is not handed to you and the story's not hammered into your face, right? You don't there is a cutscene at the beginning of this game, which is fine. But that's like, you know, the only other cutscene other than this one at the beginning is like when a boss is flexing on you, about to punch you in the face, you know, like a big boss. But everything else is just, you know, item descriptions and, you know, lore and things like that. And I really like that. So I like the idea of like writing things down. I think that's really interesting because that's sort of how like real life is, right? Like, you know, somebody doesn't text you every 15 minutes to be like, hey, remember that thing that you did that we were supposed to talk about? You know, which is, you know, in those games where they are sprawling open worlds, it makes sense why that would be an appealing thing if you're a game designer and you want all of the work that you put to be delivered to the people that you're delivering it to. You don't want all that time to be wasted and all this dialogue to be wasted because people are going to forget about your side quests. But like it's all in the package of From Software games. You kind of expect that and you walk into it being like, I'm not gonna know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. I'm just some dude that's showing up and I'm ready to punch some gods in the face. And I don't know everything about this world, but I'm gonna do the best I can along the way. And so I like it personally, but it does sometimes, it would be like, oh yeah, you're here now? Great. when did you get here? I've talked to you like way over there, and now you're like sitting in some lava, like rubbing it on your armpits. I'm like, what's up, dog? Like, how you been? And they did actually on some of the updates, they did fix that. So some of the NPCs actually started showing up on the map. They used to not. So like if you kind of found them like in the relative area, I think that's how it triggers it. But you'd be like, oh, guy named Alexander, he's like a big pot man. He's literally a giant jar. You're like, oh, he's just like here all of a sudden. Like, and then you can always like kind of mark where he is on your map, but the map doesn't get like super flooded with like towers and tasks and yellow exclamation points. So it's sort of a mixed bag. It's good and bad.
No, yeah, like I'm still playing Dying Light 2, and for anybody who has been listening and knows that we talked about how it's going to take 500 hours to complete the game or 50 hours to complete the story. I'm 39 hours into it, and I think I just hit the halfway point of the game. So, and even with that map that we're going back to, there are so many markers and like things to indicate where something is, even after you go and do like these certain like not fetch quests but like treasure hunts in it. The marker still stays there because apparently it refreshes it and it reloads it with more stuff for you to get later. But I don't want to constantly have to keep going back to that one area if I've already done it once. Like, it's just another pair of shoes and it's just another pair of pants. I don't need to get more shoes and more pants because there's only so much.
You have a backpack full of shoes and pants and you look like a psychopath.
Yeah, like, it's crazy. It's the most insane thing. But, like, that's kind of comforting to also know that like the map doesn't have all of these indicators of things you need to go do, but it's also terrifying because I don't know what I need to do.
Right.
There's a lot of
there's a lot of aspect of it too, right? Of like,
yeah.
If you miss a cool side quest that everyone else found and you didn't, like,
yeah,
you're like, oh,
and that happens. Like I got through, like I beat the game, and my girlfriend was like, "Did you meet the prawn guy? Because he's a guy that sells you boiled prawns, which are shrimp." He's like, I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, I was like, you sound like you literally sound like a crazy person.
Yeah.
So I didn't find that, and you know, like I'm kind of like, that's okay. You know, like I'm not gonna see everything. I'm not gonna do everything, and that's the beauty of New Game Plus in the From Software games, because you can just jump right in, man, and just reset, and you can just flex on everyone. You're the strongest boy around.
Yeah.
But in terms of like the map's great in Elden Ring because there are markers, but the markers are usually just place markers. Some like merchants, which they've integrated later on, like merchants and some NPCs, so you can kind of see where merchants are, which is nice. And then little teleporting marks, like little sites of grace. That's really it. I mean, you can put markers down, but in terms of like static markers, I'm pretty sure that's all that there is. It's like the capital, this ruin here, that ruin, whatever. These sites of grace, and then the NPCs and merchants. So it's very stripped down, but easy to figure out.
Okay, that's once again very appealing, and like wanting to maybe get into it. But I've already got a backlog of stuff that I need to get into.
I know. Honestly, I would put it all down. Just play Elden Ring. Come do some black tar heroin with me, your friend.
So I was curious about, because I like a lot of speed running and I watch, a bunch of different games. And I know the From Software games have a very strong reputation in speed running of just being absolutely bonkers. Like I saw some guy beat Elden Ring in 6 minutes. I saw on YouTube, and I know it's crazy. And at either AGDQ or SGDQ, like they beat Dark Souls in 10 minutes and things like that. So would you ever be interested in dabbling in that, like for fun, like doing a fun speed run of Elden Ring? Or
my speed run is about 95 hours. That's probably the
but
fastest
you
I've been
improve over
able
time, right?
I don't. This is the thing. I don't think I will. I love these games, but I'm really not that good at them. Like they're fun, and I really enjoy them. But speedrunning is one of those things that I really wanted to do. I don't know how do you clip? How to clip?
I have no idea. That's what I'm saying, bro. Like it's crazy.
But not all the games require you to do that.
I know.
Like Breath of the Wild, I think is the most famous game for just being like, hey, you want to beat it? Go there and do the thing.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know if you can do that in Elden Ring. You might be able to do it in Elden Ring. I actually haven't watched any speedruns. I'm not sure. Do they clip through when they do it?
I don't know. I just saw on YouTube. It said like first sub 7 minute Elden Ring speedrun was like the title.
That's insane.
Was title of the video. So I didn't.
Those people are crazy. Good for them though.
Yeah, it's insane.
If it was an Elden Ring, would there ever be a game you would consider speedrunning? Like maybe something from your childhood you loved, or something you played a lot of?
A game that I've watched people speedrun that I wish I could speedrun would be Celeste.
Ooh.
I feel like that's one of those games that, like, when I watch people speedrun that game, because I know they kind of had that in mind when they designed it. I think the people who, like, the creators of it had mentioned, like, they had speedrunning in mind. Like, there were certain mechanics that were, like, speedrun friendly, like the little wave dashy stuff, and, like, building up momentum that way. When I watch people speedrun that on, like, AGDQ, I literally, like, I won't blink for the entire run. It's insane to watch. It's so good. I drink a lot of espresso. I would need to drink way more to get twitchy. Like I'm just not twitching. I'm too sleepy. I don't think my muscle fibers work anymore. I'm too old now.
Yeah, you need the faster reaction time. Yeah.
I know. I just have a bad brain full of sleepy chemicals.
I've got a bad brain.
You might want to get that checked out.
No, don't worry about it. You're not my dad. So
you're not my dad.
You're not my dad. So with From Software games, has there been a reason that you guys haven't played them? Because I've heard a lot of people, like we have a good friend who hasn't played the games, and a lot of it had to do with like toxic fandom. Have you guys had anything about that that's been keeping you from doing it?
No, not for me, because I like a lot of things that have toxic fandom to it, like
My Hero Academia. Oh my god!
Really enjoy that. If you look behind me on my stand, I have 2 Midoriya statues, is right there. But like, I don't really. I guess
you make them kiss.
Yeah, I make them kiss. I guess my big thing is like when I get into something, I don't join the community. I just like stay myself to it and I play it. I'm like, I'm really good at this game. I could do it. But like,
I'm the best person in this room at this game.
Exactly. But like, I think my first dabble into From Software games was Bloodborne, and I mistook it for a game that I thought it was going to be, but it wasn't. Mm-hmm. Like, the trailer made it look like it was just going to be this gothic style game where you had to help cure this, like get rid of this disease that had been plaguing the people and all this other stuff. And then I bought it, and I was like, okay, where's the story?
Yeah.
And me and you've talked about it. You're like, the story is in your items. The story is in talking to the doll. The story is in talking to the people within the houses that won't let you in. And I'm like, no, I want to do that. Don't make me read. Speak to me. Point me in a direction, and don't kill me thousands of times.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair, man. I mean, like, it is sort of like it's sort of this weird, like, you sort of get in this like Zen moment of like narcissism and like Zen moment of like masochism where you're just like, no matter what, I'm going to beat my head against the wall because I'm strong enough to kill these gods. Like, I am the best boy. I'm a little twig compared to these huge hulking beasts, and I'm going to make a new world order. Like, I love those games for that reason.
See, I was going to say, that's my answer, Dylan, is it's not the community, which I definitely understand. Like, it makes me not want to even watch games, is how people act like they're better than you as a human being because they're good at Dark Souls. But it's the...
I mean, we are, though.
That's fine. That's a conversation could be had.
This Elden Ring, just for a second, Elden Ring has been unmaking my my From Software bullshit toxicity, and we can talk about that in a second, but you go.
So, for me, and I think I've even said this to Joe and other friends, like, I say I don't like scary movies because life is scary enough. I don't need to be scared for entertainment. And so it's the same kind of aspect with video games for me, is life is infuriating enough already. I don't find joy out of being so frustrated through something so difficult that I finally break through. Because I had this issue, and I know Canon Burgess Spirits is not on the level of Dark Souls. I'm not saying it's the same, but it's a similar Souls-like experience. The final boss of that game, it took me like 4 hours to do because it's a 15-minute fight that if you die with multiple stages, you have to go back through the whole thing. So just cumulatively, the time played adds up and it gets more and more frustrating. And like the experience, everyone's like, oh, you feel so relieved that, you know, once you've overcome this tough, you know, frustrating battle, the wave of excitement that you were good enough to do, it makes you happy. It's like, I'm the opposite. I'm like, I can't believe I wasted so much of my time doing something so frustrating. So that's definitely been my biggest deterrent from Souls games in my experience. It's just like, I don't want to be frustrated for entertainment.
Yeah, and I get that too, because I will say I hit those moments. When I played Dark Souls 1, there's a dual boss called Ornstein and Smo. So it's Dragon Slayer, Ornstein, Executioner, Smo. Pretty classic Dark Souls bosses. That was my zenith point where I was like, I'm either gonna hate this game or I'm gonna love this game. And once I beat them, I was like, that's it. That was like the last little bit that hooked me into the game, because other than probably, I know we talked about earlier, other than probably playing PUBG, I've never felt the amount of exhilaration playing a game. That's why I liked PUBG so much. Because when you win PUBG, or like you like get out of a satisfying firefight or something, you like feel like, I feel like my life was on the line. Like it's this weird empathy in the game where like everything's at stake. You're having to balance so many things at once. You know, things are flying everywhere. You're communicating with your team. But, you know, in this era where, you know, you're just like dodging or whether you're doing whatever. And then when it all like lines up and it, like you get it and you feel like I really do like will say agree with what those people have been telling you. The amount of accomplishment and the sense of like that you get is addicting in those games. And that's why so many people really get into them. Some people get into it to like flex on people and run around naked and play, you know, be with dance pads or whatever. They'll like put some electrodes in a bunch of mangoes and they're just like beep boop boop and they're just like, I'm gonna beat this game now.
Yeah.
I saw someone beat Kingdom Hearts on a dance pad once. I couldn't imagine someone beating Dark Souls on a dance pad.
So I beat on like a saxophone once.
Yeah,
it's like people are crazy. Like I don't know, like a bop it.
People are just always trying, as me and Dillon and our friends say, are always just trying to be the video game boy. They're trying to be the one who wins. They are trying to be that.
And they don't know that it's me. I'm the video game boy.
No, they don't know that it is our friend Eric.
Our friend Eric is actually the video game boy because my girlfriend likes to joke that I'm the video game boy. Then I was like, no, our friend Eric is the video. He is such the video game boy. He's so good at games.
Is that a term of endearing? Like he's just really good at video games?
He's just so good at video games.
So good at video
I
games.
hate him. I don't know Eric, but I hate his guts because
he's so nice though.
So bad. It's the same with my brother. Like he's just naturally good at games, right?
Well,
Like he'll
to
play
be
a card
fair, Eric
game or
does-
he'll play a
yeah.
game that I'm struggling with, like on the PS5 or whatever, and he just has it, and I'm like, it's just infuriating.
Yeah.
So I'm actually really happy that you guys haven't really felt the effects of the toxic fandom as much. What I've been noticing is like I'm on TikTok a lot because I'm a cool teen, and so there's been a lot of, I mean, because obviously it's for you page, so a lot of my for you page has been a lot of Elden Ring things and a lot of like videos and stuff, and that's actually been sort of encouraging in the comments on a lot of those Elden Ring videos that people are saying like, look, man, I don't know if it's because like the people who played these games are now older and they're just like, who gives a crap what you do as long as you're having fun, but there's a lot of people who are just like, beat it however you want, play however you want, who gives a crap. Like for me, I got to a point where like there was like this big thing in the From Software community about like kind of looking down on people who summon help and get helpers and like because you can summon people in the game, and the what Elden Ring has is a new summoning system where you can get like little spirit ashes, whatever, spirits calling bell. So you like have a little bell and you can summon like a little thing, and there's certain ones are more powerful than others and do different things. But like, and I went for a while, like I was really against using it because I was like, I'm not really beating the enemy then. I'm not really fighting. I'm not really accomplishing this thing if I don't beat it. But like, I work like 60 hours a week, man. So like, I just don't have time. And then I was like, I'm never going to beat this game. And like you said, I probably wouldn't have beaten it. I probably would have quit because like, I just don't have the time and the emotional energy to like put a bunch of time into it. So like, yeah, I used a mimic tier and I summoned a version of myself who was dumb as a box of rocks, but at least it would aggro the boss for a minute so I could drink and take a breather for 5 fucking seconds as I'm being assaulted. But like, I don't know, man. Like this game is a revolution in the From Software community. Like I think it really is. It's the best From Software game. It's the most accessible game. It doesn't lock you into upgrading paths like a lot of the games used to do. You can change your spec mid-game. I think like each run you can change your spec like 12 times, which is insane. You couldn't do that. Like I don't think you can do that nearly as many times, if at all, in some of the other From Software games. So if one day you're like, I don't want to be a whiz-waz. I want to be a big slapping boy. You go to a lady, you give her an item, and you can just respec all your levels. Easy, and there's no penalty to it. You just do it. It's a good game. It's a good game. Cool. Everybody should play this game. It's a great game.
Well, you touched on it with the toxicity and the get good mentality literally comes from Souls games, right? So
yeah,
to me, as someone who's not in that community, like the only thing I can see usually on the outside perspective is the conversation on difficulty, and if there should be multiple difficulty settings, not just for the accessibility aspect of it, which is obviously a viable conversation to have, but for the convenience aspect of it, of someone who's 40 with a kid who doesn't have all the time to hardcore Elden Ring but still wants to experience it. Should they be given that same opportunity to get through the game on a lesser difficulty? Because it's a single player game, right? It's not Call of Duty or Overwatch or something like that everyone needs to be on the same play field. It doesn't. If Joe beats it on easy mode and you beat it on super mega death hardcore mode, well, you both still got through it. You both got the experience that you both wanted, right? So, like, where do you stand on, like, the get good Dark Souls? There's only one difficulty because Miyazaki-san said this is how hard it's supposed to be.
I still like the one difficulty. What I think that Elden Ring has done a lot of is they've allowed for things like cooperative play. Like, if people are on the same, like, if you bought on PlayStation or on PC, like, you can get into each other's worlds and help each other out. Like I said, you can summon other people to help you, and you can have your spirit ashes. So there's a lot of ways to augment if you feel like you need some extra help. That people are ready and willing to, give that help to, and you're rewarded to giving help as well. So I think there's a lot of that has been kind of, I think, the language is changing, hopefully. And from what I've seen, it is changing, and it's codified in so many different like built-in mechanics that allow for it to be a viable thing that can happen without being like looked down upon. There's always going to be somebody who looks down on you. That's just the way these games work. There's a million people playing. Not everybody's going to be like super cool about it.
Right.
But I am seeing the conversation change. So to get back to it, like I don't think there should be an easier mode, because I do think that certain bosses are balanced a certain way, and that you get that accomplishment from being like, I beat this thing. Even if you had to do a summon, I think that's still there, because they can still just obliterate your whole ass if you're not paying attention. And I like that danger is still there. You know?
Respect it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't have a horse in the race because I'm not into these games. It's just
there is a horse in the game, though.
Ooh.
There is a horse in the game now.
Well, he's like a goat horse that can double jump? I don't know. It's a great game.
Wow.
It's a fun game.
It's a crazy game.
It's such a good game.
Yeah. Goat horse that can double jump. What an elevator pitch that is. You know?
Yeah.
No, but it is very good.
It's just
very
good.
good.
It's just good.
Yeah.
Beautiful scenery, great music, good voice acting. Animations are pretty. A million weapons to get that you can switch through and have different move sets, and some move sets that you can apply to different weapons. You can change them on the fly. Great fashion. That's important.
Absolutely.
Some good fashion. You can get a big hat that makes it looks like a croissant.
Croissant.
A croissant. So that's great.
Is it guaranteed game of the year? Is it like everyone else just
oh my God.
Just try again in 2023? There's no shot this December, the Game Awards 2022. There's no shot it doesn't win, in your opinion.
I think guaranteed game of the year. That's a Dillon guarantee.
Ooh, lock it in.
You can take that to the bank and smoke it.
I don't know if that's how that works.
I don't think you can smoke inside banks anymore. It's not.
Don't tell me what to do.
Definitely not allowed to do that.
That bank in an airplane, I can smoke wherever I want.
Gotta have my nicotine, baby.
Joe, do you have anything else on Elden Ring, or you want to move on?
I do not have anything else on Elden Ring. I guess what I was gonna say is before we kind of went down this rabbit hole, that I was gonna say that I liked how they made Sekiro, because it told a story while also being part of the From Software formula, just tweaked a little bit, and I really liked that, because From Software games look beautiful and I want to play them, but I don't want to look for the story. I want the story to be readily available for me to access. Which, from what it kind of seemed like in Elden Ring, it was a little bit like that.
It's not as much as you'd probably want it to be. There's definitely a lot more story that's given to you in Sekiro than in Elden Ring, but I think the story's definitely more there. I think that there's a good cutscene at the beginning that really does lay out a lot of cool stuff, and then it's a great thing about that cutscene at the beginning. It's like they talk about these demigods in such a huge high position, and then you can just like find them, and they're just like, hey, what's up?
Hey,
and I like that. I like the idea of like you hear these grand gods and like untouchable mountaintops, and then you can just be like, hey, can you like teach me how to throw a laser beam, please? And they're like, sure, $5. And you're like, great.
You're like, teach me how to Dougie, and they're
Teach me how to Dougie.
I'm gonna teach you how to Dougie. And you're like, dope. Here we at.
All the wenches love me.
All the wenches love me. All right. Let's
John.
move on. Do you want to move on to another topic, or do you want to keep on rolling?
Well, I mean, we have Overwatch 2 to talk, so we can at least touch on it since it's just a beta, right? The game isn't out fully yet.
We
right?
can touch on it
later in May, if I'm not wrong, right?
I don't know when the release date is, but we'll talk about it in the sense of what we know so far. So none of us have actually played Overwatch 2. Me and Dillon definitely got into Overwatch 1 a lot. I remember there is a tweet on my Twitter account that I have back in 2016 that states, I've never been more prouder in this moment than right now when I got the play of the game as Junkrat, and I'm graduating grad school tomorrow. That is a tweet that I have on the internet.
And at the end, it said, "I'm getting 300 dates tomorrow."
So I am a fan of Overwatch.
Mm-hmm.
From what I've heard, the only way to have gotten access to the beta is to have been part of a drop on Twitch earlier last week. That was the only way for you to get access for it. And essentially, what it looked like is they allowed people to play on what it looked like was still the same maps from Overwatch 1. Same characters, maybe I think one new character, and a lot of revamp and re-changing of certain characters' abilities and how they performed as you played them. I know that a lot of the tanks got buffed, and we went from 6v6 to 5v5, now only allowing one tank per team. And for those who haven't played the Overwatch system before, from me and Dillon's opinion and our friend's opinion, at the beginning when it first was out, the Overwatch game allowed you to kind of make any team you wanted. I believe we've all played
the six Mercy comp.
A six Torbjorn
comp.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Sentry turrets everywhere.
Yeah, but they then quickly changed it for you to then only allow one person to have one of the characters at a time, and then they changed it even more to kind of how they have League of Legends set up for ranked matches, where when you play, you need to have two offense characters, two defense characters, and then two tanks. I guess not offense, like 2 DPS, 2 healing, and 2 tanks. Like that was
support, yeah.
That's what needed to happen. So if you went into the matchmaking system being like, I want to play DPS, it's like, okay, good luck. You're probably going to get a game in 13 minutes. It's going to take a bit. But if you went in as support or tank, mostly support because that was the easiest to get on because no one apparently wants to play support classes.
Which is the same with a lot of online games, right? Like World of Warcraft.
Yeah, everybody wants to be the video game boy.
They get quicker queue times than DPS people, you know?
Like Dillon said, everybody wants to be the video game boy. They want to be the main character, and you can't be the main character when
if you're not Eric.
Exactly. But what it seems like now is they took one tank position away because now, like I said, it's 5v5. And from what our friends have stated while playing it, it's pretty much Overwatch 1. No, I believe Dillon has said this before, no real reason to want to spend full price on this game as of yet because there's nothing new. And from what I remember them saying, this could have changed, that all new maps and characters would be available for people who own Overwatch, the original Overwatch, just for multiplayer.
So is this like a Halo Infinite thing that the multiplayer was free but the game for story mode costs $60? Is that what you're saying, that essentially if you just want to play multiplayer, you're not buying it anymore?
Yeah, but you need to have Overwatch to play it.
Right.
You need to own the original game to at least play Overwatch in general. But if you want to play their new PvE, is it PvE?
Yeah, the PvE. Well, story mode.
Yeah.
Campaign, whatever you want to call it.
Their campaign, you have to buy Overwatch 2.
So you're right. It's a little bit like Halo with that, where you
and the same with Fortnite with their $30.
Yeah. So because Overwatch came out 2016. Yeah, 2016. So it's been out for long enough. A lot of people already have it, and like what Joe said, I think that we were talking a little bit before the recording, but I think that a great thing that Blizzard has been doing is that they have been updating Overwatch and they've been keeping it live and keeping it active in the community to keep competitive and all that stuff. But that's a detriment as well when you put out a new version of the game that is going to have a monetary cost associated with it that really doesn't have enough it feels like an iterative update, right? It feels sure. It's like getting a new version of a phone year to year, but it's been 6 years. And so what's the draw other than a campaign that I don't know. Unless it's a 95-hour campaign, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna pay $60 for it.
Unless
Unless it's
Overwatch 2
Elden
is
Ring.
Elden Ring,
It's unless you slap a Lucio face on an Elden Ring character, I'm not gonna.
I'd be
I'm
okay
not playing.
with that. Lucio is really cool. He's a cool guy.
Lucio's my favorite. Yeah, that was my main. I love Lucio.
I didn't play much of Overwatch back in the day because I just had like an awful laptop. Like, I don't know if Joe remembers it, but I just couldn't really handle anything competitive games. So most of my gaming was on consoles. But like the times that I did play, I did gravitate towards the supports, like Mercy or Diva especially. I thought she was really fun. But for me, like watching, the biggest thing I noticed, and I saw a tweet, that on day 1 and day 2, they had over 1.5 million viewers in the Overwatch category on Twitch. And it was like day 5 or something like that. So it showed day 2 to day 5, and it was 15,000 viewers.
Right.
And so I wonder what Blizzard has to do here, because if you went from 1.5 million viewers, like the most ever in one directory in Twitch history, and then 3 days later you're not even a top 10 category on Twitch, like that means everybody in the world can't be wrong, right? If everyone's saying this game's just Overwatch 1.5 and it's not worth it, like every 1.5 million person can't be incorrect. There has to be some truth to that opinion.
Yeah, of course. And I think that, I mean, like we said, I mean, this is a very early conversation because you're right. It's just a beta of the multiplayer. And I don't think that they're hiding the fact that the multiplayer itself is not just like a 1.5, because they're allowing you, if you already have Overwatch 1, to just get it for free. So I think they're even like saying like, look, we know that this is just a small update. So, which is, I think that people kind of walked into it being like, oh, I want, Overwatch 2, it's going to be all new heroes, all new this, all new that. And it's like, well, they don't, they've spent 6 years balancing these characters. I mean, they're going to do some more balances and stuff, and they're going to add some new abilities. And like Joe said, they're going to rebalance sort of even how the queuing structure is. And there's only one tank per, right? That spot that they eliminated was a tank spot.
Yep.
So now there's only one tank, but they got buffed, so they're a little bit, beefier. Yeah, that's a pretty big change, but it is just, it's a big change on a small scale, essentially. It's a small format, big change.
Joe, it's kind of like comparing how when I used to play League back in like 2011, to now how you play League. A lot of the characters that I used to play have completely been revamped from what they are now, while some have stayed the same. Yeah. Like Malzahar is the character I used to play the most, and he's changed, but Cassiopeia has hardly changed. Like Gangplank has gone through like several different changes throughout these years. Like he's completely different from what he actually used to be, while some characters just stay the same. Like essentially, a lot of what is Overwatch 2 is banking on is number one. It's going to have better graphics. The look is going to be better if you get the second one. Hold on, I'm literally on their website, and it says that.
I understand what they said, but if you watch with your eyeballs, it looks like Overwatch 1.
Well, yeah, because number 2, the main addition to Overwatch 1 or Overwatch 2 is the story that goes from Overwatch 1 to Overwatch 2 and past it, from what is on their website. So it's going to be a campaign mode of these characters not fighting each other, but now out in the world fighting against the robots, saving people's lives, which is something interesting, where you get locked into a character like Tracer or Torbjorn's, is it daughter or granddaughter?
Yeah. Bingborn.
Yeah, and like all that other stuff. Or like May. Like, it's all that is what's going to mainly be the attraction to Overwatch 2. Because literally, also on their website, it states, your mission continues. Keep your collection. Your accomplishments and loot collection will be carried forward to Overwatch 2. That means you'll keep your skins, player icons, sprays, emotes, everything. It also states in the next line, new maps and new heroes. Current Overwatch players will battle side by side with Overwatch 2 players in PvP multiplayers. They will also be able to play Overwatch 2 heroes and maps, So if your whole thing is just playing Overwatch for the multiplayer, for like getting new maps and getting the new characters, don't even bother buying this game because it's not made for you. Like the whole thing about Overwatch 2 is their campaign mode, is what it seems like.
Which honestly, from a consumer perspective, is actually a nice thing for Blizzard to do. That they're allowing, that they're allowing people who just have, there might be a time where I'm like, oh, I really want to try out the new thing for a little bit. There's every once in a while where I dibble dabble back into the old Overwatch, and I'm like, oh, I can just jump right in, and there's not like I just have to update it, and we're off to the races. And the fact that it's going to allow me to do that is nice, and I like that I don't have to buy. I like that Halo Infinite did that. It allowed you to play the multiplayer for free. Great. But
I'm
just curious if the campaign's gonna be enough of a draw. I mean, like Blizzard.
That's exactly my point. It's fine and dandy to say, look how great our brand new, shiny campaign is. That's why it's called Overwatch 2. But their single player is not the draw to playing Overwatch. It's a team-based competitive PvP game. Like it's different than, let's say, Uncharted or The Last of Us. Those are single player games that have a side multiplayer that was popular, a part of it, right? So that's an additional content to their core single player experience. You'd be hard pressed that even the biggest, person who just like takes the opposite opinion of everyone, you wouldn't even be able to pretend that the core appeal of Overwatch is playing story mode compared to the competitive PvP aspect of it. So like you can revamp the story all you want, but like if the main reason people play your game is not changing enough to be slapping a 2 on it, like I think that's a bit concerning.
Yeah. I think that there have been few games that have equal draw for both multiplayer and single player. There's like your Halos, great. I never played a lot of Titanfall, but I heard the campaign of Titanfall 2 was good.
It was amazing.
So like that, like there's certain instances where that happens, but you're right. I mean, when you take a player or a multiplayer heavy focus game and go, oh, I'm just going to tack on this story onto it and take like, I'm not sure if I'm going to, like, I feel like these games operate on such a heavy PvP base structure that I'm not sure I'm just going to find it satisfying swinging, Reinhardt's hammer against a bunch of robots for whatever a while. It's like, it kind of feels like it's taking the fun out of it, taking the point out of it.
It's
like
also been 3 years, right? And it's like, this is how much different it looks. 3 years of development.
Yeah.
Well, they do have a thing that on their website that allows you to look at the visual changes that they've made. It's not necessarily graphical changes. It's more of the characters changing over the time it's been since the first game. Like lifestyle wise, they're like, oh look, Lucio used to look like this. Now his design is like this. Like it's a different design of the character.
Yeah.
Like
bigger fingernails.
Yeah, like Reinhardt.
He hasn't trimmed his nails in years.
Yeah, like Reinhardt used to just be like, what was it? Like steel gray. He had a helmet on, and he had red throughout it. Now he doesn't wear the helmet. He's got his hair up in a ponytail, and he's like steel gray but with yellow now. And like there's slight changes to his armor. There's just like different things. Like we all know Matt Mercer's character is going to be in this game, and he's going to be great, and we love Matt Mercer, and his character design has changed a little bit. It's all these like little tweaks that they're adding to these characters. They gave Bastion a hat, and I'm for it. Like, yeah,
but they've really been that stuff is just skins essentially. I mean, that's the same thing as a skin.
You are correct.
I mean, Reinhardt had skins where he looked like a cool. Remember, there was the one for like Lunar New Year. I loved that skin. That was a great one.
That was a great skin. But like, you're right. Like, it is hard to tell what is if the story mode is going to be enough to attract people to buy this game. I know I will probably buy this game.
Well, are you going to pre-order? If you do, I'm going to have to hold an intervention for you, Joseph. No pre-ordering games. We're not allowed to anymore.
Listen. If it has a cool statue, I'll pre-order.
I was going to say, unless there's a $500 statue attached to the pre-order, I don't think Joe's going to get it.
The shelf doesn't fill itself, Dillon.
You can buy those on Amazon for cheaper, and then you don't support those bad companies making bad video games.
I've never bought a bad video game collectible. Yes, I have.
I was like, You gonna tilt up to that Fallout 76 helmet?
First off, it's cool, and I don't care. It's
The helmet's great.
The helmet's great. The game, awful.
Trash.
How's that Death Stranding baby doing?
He's good. He's up there.
Have you fed him yet?
I've fed him.
From your teeth?
From my teeth.
From your teeth?
From my...
So the last thing for me on Overwatch is I'm a big fan of esports in general, and I watched a lot of the first season of Overwatch because I couldn't play because I had a crap laptop, so I just watched the Overwatch League, and I was super into it, and I had friends that watched, and like we were big like LA Gladiator fans, and like, you know, watching every week and stuff. And then I don't know what their numbers and analytics are, but culturally, Overwatch League kind of crapped the bed in people's eyes when it got switched over to YouTube, right? When it was on Twitch, it seemed like it was a bigger deal, but then when they had the exclusivity with YouTube, I think it really hurt their branding. So my conspiracy theory has always been, which is definitely not true, it's just in my brain has been like, what if they just called it Overwatch 2 because YouTube's contract says they have exclusive rights to streaming Overwatch?
Oh.
Now, in reality, it does make sense because the contract would say broadcasting Overwatch League, which is still the same league. But that's where my brain went, was like, is there some reason that this iterative, hardly different game is called Overwatch 2? And I was like, maybe that's why.
By the way, can I say, when you said crap the bed, all I could think of was Amber Heard crapping and going.
Amber Heard at it again.
Crapping some beds.
For Johnny Depp to Overwatch, you can't stop.
You can't stop it. No, it's true. That's a good point, though. I mean, like,
I don't think it's real. I just think it would be really funny if it was real, you know? YouTube executive is just like super upset, like, oh, we didn't read the fine print. We only said Overwatch. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, my favorite guys, Blurcy and Midowmaker. Love them.
Man, I can't wait to play Pistachio. I also just like thought about this. Why would I have to sign up for a beta when I could just play Overwatch 1 and be in the beta?
Oh, is that how that works?
I have no idea, but I'm about to find out.
Oh my goodness. We're doing it live.
Yeah, I don't know, because I know the drops were guaranteed if you were watching on Twitch, which is what helped people get it. Which was different from Valorant, right, where you had to watch for 6 hours and hope you got a drop for it. If your account was linked with Blizzard and with your Overwatch or whatever, and you were watching one of the drop sponsored streamers, it was a guaranteed beta drop. So that was at least nice of them to do. So from what I saw online, all it said was you needed to own Overwatch 1 to play the beta. It didn't say you could play the Overwatch 2 beta in Overwatch 1.
Well, maybe that's why the visuals look like it's Overwatch 1, because they're playing it through Overwatch 1. That would make 100%.
I don't think they are. I think it's just like I think the Overwatch League is starting up either next week or in the time where the Overwatch League is starting before Overwatch 2 comes out, and they're playing on a special Overwatch 2 edition for the Overwatch League, even though the game isn't out yet. So I do believe this beta is fully on Overwatch 2's engine and systems.
Oh, no, yeah. I'm just saying maybe the beta isn't.
No, I think it is. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. All right. Then there you go.
Do you guys know anything about the new hero? What's their deal?
From the website, it looks like
is it Ligma
or something?
Nope. Do not start that.
No. Is it Henway?
It looks like it's a character that has like this big laser beam that also I gotta look for the name of it. Overwatch 2 beta week development.
Don't worry, just take your time.
Don't rush me. Don't rush me. I'm here. I'm on it. Let's see. Let's go to Heroes. Let's see if she's under Heroes. Because I know it's a new female character.
Didn't it say it's like Sojourn or something? It starts with an S.
Yeah, that sounds right. I am looking at that. I'm looking at that slider that you talk about from like the you can
it's nothing crazy. It looks cool, but it's nothing like crazy.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at the slider from like Overwatch 1 to Overwatch 2, and it really, these are just skins essentially.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
They like color corrected it and put some skins on it, and like that's fine, but like I don't.
Well, we'll have to see what happens. We'll have to see what happens. See what is going to happen.
Genji got pants. He got some diapers.
Genji,
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you were right, Joe. It is Sojourn.
Sojourn.
Yeah, but it looks like she kind of looks like a mix of just like cybernetics and a human. Like it looks like her legs, like how Lucio's legs were robotic, hers look robotic, and it gives her the ability to slide around. She has this like plasma cannon thing, and she can apparently shoot a laser beam that goes through multiple enemies and like kills all of them. From what
that's fun.
What the thing looks like. So it's like a piercing round that goes through all of them. And from her design, it looks like she's from Canada.
Canada?
Yeah.
Does she say sorry?
No, I can't. The video that's just playing, I can't.
Does she like Timbits?
She probably Who doesn't like Timbits, bro?
Yeah.
If you don't like Timbits, you're not American.
Well, she's not American.
That's what
she's
they say.
Canadian.
Yeah, that's what they say.
That's the point.
So, also a fun side tangent. I don't know if you guys saw that because we're talking about Blizzard, that they announced that they were porting that Diablo mobile game that was that disaster to PC.
Oh my god!
Which the whole disaster was that it should have been on PC, but all these years later, like I saw people was like, oh, do none of you have PCs? Because like, remember the guy was like, do none of you have phones? So,
yeah,
that's so funny.
I just like how he responded to that because someone was like, "Is this a joke? Because this is awful."
Yeah. Is this in what did that guy call? That guy's a legend. It was like an off day April Fool's Day joke or whatever.
Yeah, he was like, "Is this an April Fool's joke?" And they're like, "No." But yeah. All right. Well, Dillon.
Wait, I got one last thing. Wait. When did this happen? McCree's not named McCree anymore?
We don't need to get into this. It's been a huge deal.
His name was always Cassidy. We just called him McCree.
He goes, name's McCree.
Yeah.
There's a voice line.
That's his last name.
His name is actually Cole Cassidy.
Yeah, that's a whole different topic for another day.
Goodness.
Is it really a whole nother topic?
No, not for us. Not for the air. I'm just saying we can just tell Dillon afterwards.
Oh no, I did not know that it was a big deal I was like, oh, I guess it's his first name, and we've been calling him McCree because it's his last name, and that's how old Western men do it.
No, I was thinking like Butch Cassidy. Anyways.
Anyway, yeah. So we'll give you an update on that, but for now, Dillon, thank you for joining us, and Joe, you can close us out.
Well, Dillon, thanks for joining us, as Joe said.
Yep. I'll see you all in 6 years.
For Overwatch 3.
For Overwatch 3 and Elden Ring 2, the sequel, the squeakquel.
Okay.
The squeakquel. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Cup of Joe's. I have been your host, Joe Perrion, accompanied by my best friend, Joe Brown, and my other best friend, Dillon, and we will see you on the next episode of Cup of Joe.